Buckle up, everybody, because Tesla stock is going crazy right now, hitting these record highs.
Yeah.
So today we're going to really unpack what's going on. We're going deep on an article. It's called Tesla Shares Hit Record High Amidst Robotaxi Buzz and FSD 13 Breakthrough. We really want to understand not just the financial news, but what Tesla is doing to get investors so excited and maybe even change entire industries.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Tesla isn't just doing well with electric vehicles. They're really selling this big picture of what the future could look like.
Okay, so robotaxis. Tesla's idea is to have their cars, basically driving themselves around as taxis, making money for the people who own them. They're saying 2025, I mean, that seems so ambitious, but think about how much this could change things.
Oh, it's huge. It could completely change how we think about transportation. Imagine anyone who has a Tesla could basically be a taxi driver, making money while their car is doing all the work.
Yeah, and three, some people are saying that one of these robotaxis could make $30,000 a year. Now imagine millions of Teslas out there just driving around as taxis. That's a ton of money, not just for Tesla, but for regular people who own Teslas too.
And the way Tesla is doing this whole self-driving thing, that's really important. They're using cameras and AI, which is cheaper and easier to use than the LiDAR that a lot of other companies use. LiDAR is like using radar with lasers to make this really detailed 3D map of everything around the car. It's accurate, but it's super expensive.
So Tesla's kind of going the software route then.
Exactly. They think they can get the same level of self-driving, maybe even better. Just by using really good AI that learns from all the video their cameras are taking, this makes their system potentially a lot cheaper to make, and they can put it in millions of cars.
Right, but not everyone agrees with this approach. Some experts say that using only cameras might not be enough, especially in bad weather or when it's hard to see.
Yeah, there's definitely debate about that. But Tesla is all about AI and machine learning. They say that as their AI gets better and better, and as they collect more and more data, their system will become more reliable.
So it's a risk, but if it works, it could be huge for Tesla and the whole car industry. Okay, so we've talked about the cameras.
Right.
But what about the software? The software that actually makes these robotaxis work. That's where FSD 13 comes in, right?
Right, FSD 13, that's their newest full self-driving software. And people are really excited about it. People who are testing it out are saying that it's a big improvement. It can handle all these complicated situations in a way that feels a lot more like a human driver.
And FSD. It's not just some cool feature. It's a way for Tesla to make more money. It's a $15,000 add-on. Or you can pay for it as a subscription. So as the technology gets better, and more places allow it, more and more people might buy FSD, which would make Tesla even more profitable.
It's a really smart plan. They're making money while we move toward a world of self-driving cars.
Yeah.
And they're also collecting tons of data, which makes their system even better.
Speaking of plans, let's switch gears a bit and talk about Tesla's energy business. Because they're not just an electric car company anymore. They're becoming a big deal in the renewable energy world too.
Yeah, for sure. They have solar panels, Powerwall batteries for your house to store that solar energy, and the giant megapack batteries to store energy for whole cities. So this energy side of things, it's not just about being good for the environment. It's also about making money in different ways. And
Yeah.
maybe even creating a whole new market.
And it fits perfectly with their goal
Yeah.
of helping the world switch to sustainable energy.
Exactly. And we have to consider things like the government giving incentives for green energy, like the Inflation Reduction Act here in the US. Those kinds of policies are making people want Tesla's energy products even more, which helps them grow in that area even faster.
It's a really interesting time for Tesla. They seem to be doing well in every area, but it's not all easy, right? There are some big challenges coming up.
Oh, of course. The economy is always a factor. Things like inflation and higher interest rates could make people less likely to buy cars.
But Tesla has an advantage here, don't they?
They do. Their vertical integration strategy gives them some protection. They own or control a lot of their supply chain, from making batteries to developing software. This helps them deal with problems like chip shortages and problems with getting parts, which are hurting other car companies.
So this vertical integration thing, can you explain that a little more? I think some of our listeners might not know what that means.
Sure. Vertical integration is when a company controls a lot of the different steps in making their product, instead of relying on other companies for parts. In Tesla's case, they own their own battery factories, they design their own chips, and they make their own software. This gives them more control over how much things cost, how long things take, and the quality of their products.
So it basically makes them less vulnerable to outside problems. That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
But even with that advantage, they're facing some serious competition, right?
Absolutely. The traditional car companies are finally taking electric vehicles seriously, and big tech companies like Apple and Google want a piece of the action too. So the competition is getting tougher, and Tesla's dominance is being challenged.
But they're always pushing the limits. Look at the Cybertruck. It's so different. And they already have over 1.5 million pre-orders.
And that's just one thing. They're working on the new Roadster, the Tesla Semi for trucking. And there are rumors of a smaller, more affordable electric car designed for the global market. Tesla is constantly innovating and expanding. That's part of what keeps them ahead of everyone else.
But we can't talk about Tesla without talking about Elon Musk. He's such a big personality. And he's so closely connected to the Tesla brand.
It's an interesting situation. Tesla's stock price is really affected by what Musk does and says. One tweet or a public appearance can make the stock go up or down a lot.
He's kind of like a walking, talking stock market mover.
Yeah.
But that makes me wonder, how much of Tesla's success is actually because of Musk's personality and showmanship? And how much is because of their technology and their business model?
That's a really good question. Can Tesla keep being successful in the long run? Or are they too dependent on the cult of personality around Elon Musk? We should definitely talk more about that.
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you think. But before we get into the whole Musk thing, I think it's important to remember how far Tesla has come. They went from being this struggling startup to the most valuable car company in the world.
It's a truly amazing story of disruption and innovation. They prove that electric vehicles can be practical and cool, and they started a global conversation about sustainability and the future of transportation.
They changed the game completely.
Yeah,
But as we've seen, there are still a lot of challenges and uncertainties.
definitely. And that's what makes Tesla so interesting. They're doing things that have never been done before, and there's no guarantee of success.
It's like they're walking a tightrope, balancing innovation, ambition, and hype, and the whole world is watching to see if they can make it.
Yeah, it really is a high-wire act, and the stakes are high. But let's go back to that 2025 goal for the Robotaxis. Do you really think they can do it? Or is Elon Musk just being overly optimistic again?
I don't know. I'm a little skeptical, to be honest. It just seems like so much to do. Like the technology itself. And getting everyone to agree on the rules and stuff.
Yeah, it's ambitious for sure. But remember, Musk has a history of setting these crazy goals and then actually making them happen.
That's true. But he also has a habit of missing deadlines and pushing things back.
Yeah, good point. And I think that's part of why Tesla's stock price jumps around so much. Investors are kind of betting on whether Musk can deliver. It's this constant back and forth between his track record of innovation and his tendency to promise more than he can deliver.
It's a wild ride for investors.
Exactly. And it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen next. But even if they don't hit that 2025 target, I think it's clear where they're going. They're putting everything into this self-driving future, and they're spending a lot of money to make it happen.
Okay, but let's say they do figure out the technology.
Mm-hmm.
And the government gives them the, okay, there are still some big questions about what this means for society, right?
Oh, absolutely. Widespread robotaxis would change our society in big ways. For example, what about all the people who drive taxis and Ubers for a living?
That's a good point. We could be talking about millions of people losing their jobs.
Exactly. And then there are the safety and security concerns. How can we be sure that these self-driving taxis are really safe? What if there's an accident? Who's responsible?
And how do we stop people from hacking into them? It opens up a lot of new problems.
It does. And these are questions that we all need to think about. It's not just about the technology. It's about ethics and how our society works.
It seems like Tesla's success or failure
Mm-hmm.
depends on a lot more than just technology. They're dealing with all these complicated economic, social, and ethical issues.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so interesting. Tesla isn't just pushing the boundaries of technology. They're making us ask some really fundamental questions about the future of work, the future of transportation, and even what it means to be human in a world where machines are getting smarter and smarter.
It's almost philosophical.
It really is. And that's what makes Tesla different from other car companies. They're not just selling cars. They're selling a vision of the future.
A future that's both exciting and kind of scary, to be honest.
I agree. But before we focus too much on the potential problems, we should acknowledge what Tesla has already done. Going from a struggling startup to the most valuable car company in the world, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's a classic underdog story.
It is. And they do it by challenging the way things are done and refusing to accept the limitations that everyone else saw. They proved that electric vehicles can be practical and desirable, and they started a global movement towards sustainable transportation.
No matter what happens next, their impact on the car industry and the world is undeniable.
Absolutely, and that's why, even with all the uncertainty and potential challenges, Tesla is one of the most closely watched companies in the world. They represent this incredible combination of innovation, ambition, and sheer willpower. They remind us that anything is possible if you're willing to push boundaries and dream big.
It's kind of inspiring.
It is. And their story is still being written. We're all watching as a company that could change the world continues to evolve.
So, for our listeners who have been with us on this deep dive into the world of Tesla, what does it all mean? I mean, it's like Tesla's at this crossroads, right? This mix of real innovation and these big plans. And you can't ignore all the hype around them.
Great. It's like a high stakes game.
Mm.
And nobody knows how it's going to play out. But that's what makes it so interesting to watch.
Exactly. I mean, will they really have those robo-taxis on the road by 2025? Or will that be another one of Elon Musk's deadlines that gets pushed back? Who knows?
Yeah, that's the big question. And that uncertainty, that potential for like massive change. It's why everyone's paying attention to Tesla. You know, this deep dive, it's scratching the surface. There's so much more to learn about Tesla's tech, their competition, and the whole future of transportation.
Yeah, so much to explore. I think for our listeners, the takeaway is keep learning, keep asking questions, and decide for yourself what you think. This story isn't over yet.
That's great advice. Don't just believe the headlines or get caught up in the hype. Really dig into the details, understand the technology, and think about what it all means in the bigger picture. Tesla's story shows us that. We're creating the future right now by the choices we make, the companies we support, and the technology we use.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe someday you'll be in a robotaxi. And remember this conversation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.